On New Year's Day of 2023, I died for 5 minutes, and I'm here to live to tell the tale. So, around this time, I was a regular user of fentanyl. I would usually do it by getting those typical blue M30 pills, crushing them up, and then snorting them in little lines. When I first got them, I thought they were oxycodones, but eventually I realized the high didn't last me that long, so I tested them and they turned out positive for fent. Now, at this point, I was quite depressed. Not necessarily suicidal, but I was depressed. A lot of my friends left me. I nearly was unable to graduate from school, and I had to graduate a year early because I dealt with severe bullying throughout my whole time in high school. Now, this day was preceded by 3 days of withdrawal from months of continuous fentanyl use. I was feeling groggy and tired and nauseous, and I just wanted to do it again more than anything else. So I, did my thing, cut a little bit of the pill, crushed it, and got on the lines. However, it was enough for 2. I snorted my first line, and I thought, hey, another one couldn't hurt. And I didn't want anyone to walk in and see me with a big old line of fentanyl on my desk, so I snorted it. After I did it, the high immediately came. That warm, euphoric rush that I was very accustomed to. It felt like I was in heaven. It felt amazing. There was nothing more I wanted to do than to feel that feeling. And so I turned on some music, laid in my bed, and just expected to take a little nap before the New Year's ball dropped. But when I awoke, what actually happened was not as I expected. I woke up and I was on the floor, surrounded by a bunch of paramedics, and with a tube down my throat, and I was throwing up everywhere. It turns out that what I thought was a quick nap was actually me going into hypoxia, and I had lost my pulse for 5 minutes. Yes, that's right, I was technically dead for 5 minutes. And this feeling was very, how do I put it? It wasn't different than like a nap after a long day. But the difference between like a nap and that was that with that context, it makes sense why it felt different than usual. It wasn't like any of my other like naps I did while sober. It had a very unique, cathartic kind of feeling to it. It felt like I was in this weird purgatory state between life and death, where there was no certainty if it was heaven or hell. It was just a void of nothing, because I was dead for 5 minutes, so there was nothing going on in my brain. It felt like I was in a whole different dimension. It felt like I was in a empty, vast scheme of nothing. But with this nothingness, I still felt that warmth that came from the high. This warm, euphoric rush. It felt like heaven, so much so that I almost, it kind of was like it was giving me the feeling of it taking me. And that rush that I experienced, this euphoria, so strong that it almost took me with it. And when I woke up, I was confused. I was feeling amazing. I was feeling great. Why did it have to end? If anything, I felt kind of pissed afterwards. And the next day or so, I was in absolutely awful fucking withdrawal. I couldn't even keep water down for an hour. And for me, like, when I was overdosing, you don't really notice it, because for me, I wasn't experiencing like the double vision thing before. I was just going off to sleep, and you know, I got kind of sleepy when I get high constantly, you know. But it was very different because when you don't have oxygen going to your brain, you know, whenever you like hold your breath, you kind of start to feel woozy, and you know, it gives you that kind of like brain rush where, you know, like it makes you feel like kind of high but also not. It was that combined with that kind of glow and that euphoria and that warmth that came with fentanyl, and it made it feel like very ethereal and comforting. It felt like death himself was, you know, giving me a nice hug and was trying to scoop me up and take me away from my life. And when I awoke to be in my own vomit in withdrawal, feeling sick and nauseous and tired and cold, I was pissed, you know, which many would be like, oh, like you were alive. Well, when you're in withdrawal, you're like, what the fuck is this shit? I'd rather be dead. Not because you're like suicidal or anything, but just because the withdrawal's so awful, you know. And I woke and I had to spend my New Year's lying in bed, like just completely sick, you know, just lying on the couch, like completely ill, going between feeling super hot and super cold, not being able to keep down water, you know, that's how nauseous I was. I couldn't even keep down water. I'd throw up basically anything going into my system. I couldn't even eat for like 2 days. It was that awful. And you know, another thing too is that, like, because of the fact that I had like my supply like right next to me, like a fucking idiot, like it all got taken, so there was no way for me to like do that or anything, which, you know, helped me stay off it. But I was really pissed because I was like, god damn it, I really like that high, you know. And it's like when you really like a high, even if you know it's not like the best thing for you, it's like you get pissed because you're like, I want my fucking high. Like I hate this feeling of withdrawal, you know? The thing is that when you're in withdrawal, you become extra susceptible to an OD. So it's like, you know, it's not easy. And that is exactly how it feels like to overdose on fentanyl. Glad that you all stuck around this long. Be safe and responsible. If you are going to use drugs, make sure that you test your shit, test your stuff. Please test your stuff, and also have someone around with you, and carry Narcan. That shit saved my life. If there was no Narcan, I wouldn't be here to tell you all to have Narcan on you, okay? Alright, so thank you all for listening to my ramble, and video. How do I end a video? Peace.